Jerusalem, holy to Muslims, Christians, and Jews, and a flashpoint in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It's a tale of two cities, Israeli-majority West Jerusalem and Palestinian-majority East Jerusalem, occupied by Israel since 1967. Even though the rest of the world disagrees, Israel says both East and West are one, its eternal, undivided capital. But it treats the people who live there very differently. Does that cause tension? You bet. It starts at birth. If you're an Israeli Jew born in Jerusalem, you get Israeli citizenship. But if you're a Palestinian, you only get a residency permit, even if your family's been there for generations. And Israel can take that permit away at any time for a bunch of different reasons. One is if you live outside Jerusalem for 7 years, you lose your right to go back. And if you marry another Palestinian from the occupied West Bank or Gaza, they can't live in Jerusalem with you. Your choice? Live apart or leave. Since 1967, 14,000 Palestinians have lost their Jerusalem residencies. Then there's the housing crisis. 35% of East Jerusalem has been zoned for the construction of illegal settlements, while only 13% has been set aside for Palestinians, much of it already built up. So as their families grow, some resort to building illegally. That's where home demolitions come in. Since 1967, Israel has demolished around 2,000 Palestinian homes in East Jerusalem for being built without permits, which are hard to get. And there are up to 20,000 outstanding demolition orders. At the same time, Israel has bulldozed ahead with the construction of settlements for its Jewish population in violation of international law. Over 200,000 settlers live in East Jerusalem. Some, guarded by soldiers and police, have kicked out Palestinians and moved into their homes. But most live in a ring of settlements that, along with a separation wall, cut off the city from the occupied West Bank and the Palestinians that live there. That isolation has devastated East Jerusalem's economy. Around 75% of Palestinians in Jerusalem live below the poverty line versus 22% for Israeli Jews. And while Palestinians pay about half of the city's taxes, they receive a tiny part of the municipal budget, leaving many neighborhoods without adequate roads, schools, and services. What about the holy sites? Well, that's where things often heat up, especially at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. Israel's policy only allows Muslims to pray there, but Jews, who call it the Temple Mount, believe it's the site where 2 biblical temples once stood, and some have gone there demanding access to pray. That's ignited clashes and protests, which Israeli authorities have tried to contain by banning younger Muslim men from entering the compound. But that only seems to make things worse. That's a snapshot of Jerusalem. Is it any wonder the city's on edge? You'll hear that settlements are a major sticking point. But what exactly are they?
Israel gets more than half of all U.S. foreign aid. What kind of aid are we talking about?